Hey guys, so today we're going to be learning about road safety involving children. There's lots of stuff to learn for this, even though in the specification it states that our learners must be taught about road safety. There's lots of aspects about road safety that you need to know. Even though it's just one bullet point, there's lots of things that you need to know about it. And this is road safety specifically for children, and this tends to come up in exams as a 6 marker or an 8 marker. I remember when I did my mock exams, I got a 6 marker on this, and I answered it quite well. I got the 6 marks. So yeah, there's lots of stuff to learn, and it is a common question. And in my actual exam, I got about like a 3 marker, saying how this person and the other person, how the parents should support their child in teaching them about road safety. So it does crop up in exams quite a lot, mainly because it is something that many people find hard to learn because there's lots of information to learn about it. But other than that, we can get started. And as you can see here, I've put the learning outcome, which I thought I would do this for every video I make, just to make sure I cover all the aspects of the specification. I do the OCR one, but this can also this is also suitable for AQA or WGEC, whatever you do. Actually, I'm going to put, when I edit this video, I'm going to put pictures of the screenshots of the different specifications and see if what they want you to cover is road safety, which, yeah, road safety is something that does come up in exams, in most exam boards. So I've been talking quite a lot, we can begin. So I think that a child's safety depends on the driver's responsibility. Whether you're a parent or a carer, you need to make sure, you need to know your child's age, you need to know the car seat that you're going to buy for your child, and all that's your responsibility. You need to know what you need, what other equipment that you need in order to keep your child safe in the car. If you look at the law in the United Kingdom, it states that all children who are under age of 12 must use a suitable car seat. Now, as I said before, there's car seats for different age groups and different years, so make sure you look at that and buy the suitable one. There's an only exception for this. If the child is more than 135 centimeters tall, then that's it. They don't need to use a suitable car seat. But there are some exceptions to this rule. If the child is under 3 in a taxi car, they're traveling in a taxi if parents don't have a car. Kids under the age of 3 can travel in a back seat without using a child seat or a seatbelt. For children who are aged 3 to 11 and are under 135 centimeters tall, they don't need to use an adult seatbelt, but instead they can use, kids of this age can use an adult seatbelt instead if the trip is short and unexpected, so they're going to a local shop or something, or they're in a taxi, or there's already 2 child seats and there's no room for a third if you have 3 children, and if there are no seatbelts in the back of the car, which is very common in very classic cars, then children are allowed to travel unrestrained. Now, this is a lot of information, but what I like to do in my videos is I like to edit. When I'm editing, I like to put like bullet points of all of what I said, so you can make sure you've copied that. So this is the law. You might be asked in the exam to, like a 6 marker to state what is the law for children in the UK involving road safety and car seats and seatbelts and all that. So you might get asked about that. So we've covered the law, children, like the laws in the UK for children when they're travelling in a car. It's quite complicated, but you need to know it. Now, how do you teach children to cross the road safely there's lots of methods, and this is what I'm talking about. This is the 6-mark question in many exams. So let's just look at how to teach them with suitable pictures. Okay, so here are the 3 methods of teaching children to cross the road safely. And as you can see here, there's a picture of children with bikes. So it's not just crossing the road, it's also riding the bike whilst you're on the road. Because some children, when they get older, they travel to school by bike. So they need to learn how to ride a bike safely whilst on the road with lots of cars. So the first thing is the green cross code, and that's the first picture you can see here. It includes the zebra crossing. So here are the steps. Step 1, find a safe place to cross, and the safest place to cross is the zebra crossing. It just has some white lines, as you can see here. Or a pelican crossing. Either can work, but a zebra crossing I think is the most safest. Or you can cross using a subway or a bridge. That's totally fine. I think that's also more safe. And make sure, as a parent, that you can see the traffic in both directions, and don't cross between parked cars, because there's lots of cars around that area. They'll either leave or park somewhere, and it will cause a hassle. So make sure you check that you don't cross between parked cars and that there's no traffic in both directions. Step 2, step on the pavement, which is, I think, the area here. This is the pavement, the one where it doesn't have any lines. And then tell your child to look around them. Look around you to make sure no cars are crossing. Tell your child, look left, look right, then look left. And some crossings, zebra crossings, it has a sign on the floor saying first look right, then look left. So yeah, make sure you teach your child always look right and left. And then step 4, if traffic is coming, let it pass. Tell your child if there's cars or vans or traffic going by, don't pass and down until the traffic passes first. Then you can walk straight across the road. Make sure you teach your child to never cross diagonally, because that's dangerous. Now here are some other points. Children who are under 5 must always be accompanied by an adult when crossing the road. So that means that the adult must hold the child's hand. But if the child is around 7, then they can follow the code on their own. That's totally fine. They don't need support or help. But the best way for children to learn is by good example. So keep doing it again. Repetition is always good. Keep doing it again and again and again until the child can nail it on their own. Make sure there's another way of teaching children, and there's also a third way, which I haven't put a picture of this, but I don't think it needs a picture. But make sure children wear bright clothing, and what I mean by bright clothing is this, as you can see here. I remember when I was young in nursery, when I was about 4 years old, before I left nursery, we had this big trip, and my teacher used to let me wear the coats that you can see here. I don't know what's it called, but we used to wear them because if it got darker when we were going home, then and if we were crossing roads, then drivers could see us easily in the dark. So it's easier for drivers to see children if they're wearing bright clothes, or if they're wearing what I've showed you here. And reflective clothing should be worn at night, and bright colours should be worn at daytime, if that's possible for children. Then never cross the road while chatting. Teach them that. Don't cross the road while chatting, listening to music, or talking on a mobile phone. 3 of these are very dangerous. Never do that. I'm sure you guys, it's easier to remember this information because you've probably been taught it at school when you're young at some point. But yeah, so as I said, I'm going to put little bullet points. Cycling with the children is fine, only if it's done as safely as possible. Okay, so in terms of babies, babies shouldn't be carried on bikes until they're at the stage where their heads can like support their bodies and they can sit up properly, which is about 8 months. And then until they can sit up, they can't wear a cycle helmet properly. So yeah, that's very important. Then always use a rear fitted child seat with a harness and a cycle helmet. I can't express how important helmets are. I remember when I was young, when I if I didn't wear my helmet, I would have been probably in hospital. But I remember when I was on a school trip on a bike, well, not a school trip, like this bike thing, a race, where you bring your bike to school and then you walk and then you cycle around the whole school, and the first one to reach the finishing line is the winner. So I remember when, because I was kind of weak at that time, I was the last person on my bike, along with 2 of my friends. So it was only 3 of us. And what happened was, I accidentally stepped on a stone, like not stepped, but my bike accidentally just moved on a stone or something, collapsed or whatever, and I fell on the floor, and it was like directly on the side of my head. But luckily, I was wearing a helmet, so that's great. So yeah, helmets are important, and harnesses are important, and you can remember how important it is by remembering my little story in the exam. Once a child is riding their bike on their own, they know how to do it, they don't need any help or support, you must supervise them and guide them, and teach them how to stay safe whilst riding a bike. So even if they can ride on their own, supervision is important, guidance, and teaching them how to stay safe. Children who are younger than 9 years old should not ride without an adult on the road. That's dangerous. Children can do cycling proficiency courses, which is also called bikeability. Now this picture here is a bikeability course. It includes children who go to bikeability, and they learn how to. I think there's like 3 stages. Let me remember. Yeah, there's 3 stages to this, and personally myself, I should have went there because I had a struggle. I wanted to ride my bike to school on the road and stuff, but I had a struggle. I was afraid, and my dad was afraid for me to do that. But bikeability helps you to gain all the skills that you need in order to ride a bike safely on the road. So as I said, this is a 3-level cycling proficiency course, which is provided for children in the UK, and it teaches them how to ride safely on roads, and it is provided by the government. I think it's still provided nowadays. Let me just check. I'll show you if it is still provided, because it would kind of be awkward if you're on an exam explaining this if it's something that doesn't exist anymore. So let me just check. So the website is still there, so I'm guessing it still exists. I typed in bikeability 2019. So yeah, it does still exist, and here's the website if you want to check it out. But yeah, that's that. So let's look at each level. In level 1, children learn to cycle safely away from cars. Then in level 2, teaches them to cycle on quiet roads, and level 3, I think it's with older children, it deals with busy and more complicated roads. And in the next 5 years, all children should have the opportunity to do bikeability before they leave primary school. So it's only available for children in primary school. From year 1, I don't think reception, they're too young to ride a bike on the road, but from year 1 to year 6. So that's quite easy. You can just explain that on your 6-mark question. It's not just to show the examiner that it's not just about crossing using your legs. Some people use a bike as well to cross the road or to travel to school on the road. So yeah, road safety, that's all got to do with road safety and car safety, as I explained before about the car seats and restrictions and what the government wants in order for a child to ride in a car.